Does that make any sense? I probably totally confused you. I'm kind of confused myself. Hi guys, it's Misty and welcome back to my channel. This video is my weekly what sold on eBay for the week of May 11th through 17th. And my sales were actually up this week. I know, it's so shocking. I can't believe it. They've been down for the past 2 weeks and now they've been up. However, eBay is having a little issue and I'm going to show you the things that have sold for me, but for some reason, some of the things that sold last week are showing up. So I need to do a little bit more of investigating to see why eBay is showing the wrong things, and so we'll get to the end of that. But I did go through and make sure that I had all of my numbers correct in the things that I sold last week, and my total is correct. But some of the things are not being shown, and some of the things may be from last week. Does that make any sense? I probably totally confused you. I'm kind of confused myself, but we're just going to go with it, okay? We're just going to go with it. And I'm going to show you the new things that you haven't seen that have sold for me last week. And hopefully it will give you an idea of what things to look out for if you're able to go out and source, or maybe some things that you have in your death piles that you might want to get listed. And so I will go ahead and show you the things that you hopefully haven't seen and some that you haven't seen now.
Okay, guys, we are not going to start in the seller hub as we normally do because I'm not sure what's going on with eBay, but I pulled up all of my sales this week and it was bringing up things that I had sold last week. So I'm going to have to look into that. I just want to go ahead and show you some of the things that did sell for me so you can see what they were and maybe give you a little bit of idea what is selling right now on eBay. The first thing is this little vintage Payo Super Smurfs boxing Smurf. This was dated 1990 on the bottom here. It's made by Payo or Schlegg, which was made in West Germany. And you can see here on his foot, it says W Germany, which stands for West Germany. And this little guy sold for $12.75 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have this Holiday Inn Motel ashtray. I love the graphic on this. This is just an iconic, just a nostalgic graphic on this little ashtray here. It was in excellent condition. You know, they used to have these ashtrays in the lobbies or even in the hotel rooms. So this was just a fun, nostalgic piece with that beautiful Holiday Inn, the world's famous innkeeper sign on it. This one sold for $12.50 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have a recipe box. And I can't remember if this is something that I had shown you before last week. I'm not sure what's going on with eBay, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it anyway. But this cute little recipe box, it was a wooden recipe box made by Nevco. It was still had the original sticker there on the bottom. This was something that I picked up, I want to say for $1.99 at Goodwill, and it sold for $14 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have these cute little salt and pepper shakers. They are from Orlando, Florida. They've got the flamingo on one and the palm tree on the other. The flamingo right here had a little bit of paint loss on his head. These were just fun little souvenir pieces, little vintage souvenir pieces. They're made out of plastic. They sold for $15.50 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have a vintage Williamsburg pottery. And again, this is something I can't remember if it was shown last week or not, so I'll briefly talk about it. I love buying pottery pieces. And this is something that it used to be a lot more popular than what it is. I paid 99 cents for it at Goodwill, and you can see here it's clearly marked Williamsburg pottery. I love pottery pieces in general, and always looking for a potter's name is, you know, what you want to do. Sometimes the potters' names are very, very hard to read. So I many times have just taken a gamble on some of the pottery pieces, and it has ended up paying off sometimes. But Williamsburg pottery it's just not something that I'm going to buy anymore. I had this for quite a while, and it only sold for $12.66 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have the wonderful Wizard of Oz Treasury collection. This was 4 pop-up books. They were dated 1991. These were so cool. I loved these books. They're vintage. They're not, you know, an antique book by any way, shape, or form, but when I looked up comps for these when I bought them, I want to say that I picked them up at Goodwill, and I don't remember how much I paid for them because I've honestly had these for at least a couple years. So I'm glad that they finally did sell. I thought that they were neat. They just had these really pretty pictures in it. Just, I don't know. I just think that they were cool. But they sold for $15.94 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, I have these vintage California Souvenir wood coasters. And they had the California oranges on it, but the coasters themselves had these really pretty sailboat with a palm tree and a little sun. Isn't that so cute? These were actually purchased by a subscriber, so thank you, ladies, for purchasing this. This was just a really fun and kitschy piece. Again, I always say this all the time, this would be great in a vintage camper. But just a fun little wooden coaster set that sold for $19.95. I do believe I did take a best offer on these, so I want to say they sold for $15 and the buyer paid shipping. Look, guys, I sold the Pamper Chef cheese grater. Do you remember this? I wasn't for sure if I was going to be able to sell it or not, but I did. I sold it for $15 and I sold it very, very quickly. So, you know, the deluxe cheese grater for the Pampered Chef, if it's brand new in the box and you get it for a cheap price, and it did sell. It sold right away. And it sold for $15 and the buyer paid shipping. So yay, Pampered Chef cheese deluxe cheese grater for selling so quickly. And this next piece is a cute little piece that was actually purchased from a local person. And, you know, if you are buying something from me locally, email me and then we can do a local pickup. So I felt bad shipping this, but I didn't realize it until after they had already paid. But this is a vintage wooden bathroom sign. If you sprinkle when you tinkle, please be neat and wipe the seat. This is something else that I had for a pretty long time. I want to say that I took a best offer on this as well for $15. All right, the next item is a brand new 1,000 piece Brooke Falder art puzzle, was called Accessorizing. And it was number 42437. It had this little Yorkie on it. The nice thing about these brand new puzzles is they have all the information that you need. Right there is the number of the puzzle. It has the name of the puzzle. I picked this up at Goodwill for 99 cents and sold it for, no, actually, I take that back. I paid $1.99 for this. Just recently, it sold within a week's time of me listing it, and it sold for $21.50 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have these really cool Lewis Marks toys, these Spaceman toys, which is just an iconic toy from the 1950s and 60s, the Spaceman with the robot. I have never seen these before. I see a lot of tin toys made by Marks and like the cowboys and Indians. I've never seen the Spaceman, and these are decent size. They were, 4 inches tall. I mean, the robot was 2.5 inches tall, so he was the shorter of the three. But they sold for $20.82 and the buyer paid shipping. Hardware. Yeah, I love selling these vintage hardware pieces. This is a set of 6 vintage white French provincial metal bail drawer pulls. This is the bail, like a bail of a bucket handle. I just put elegant. They were reclaimed. They were salvaged off of another dresser. They were brass, and you can tell if you take a magnet to it and it does not stick, then more than likely it is brass. They were rough. They had the paint was peeling off or chipping off in a lot of spots, but they sold for $22.74 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have a Longaberger wrought iron collection buffet server and plate stand. I picked this up at Goodwill for $3.99. The very first day that Goodwill opened back up again. This is wrought iron, and I know that this is a retired piece. They don't make this anymore, but you would put plates in here, and it had these little hangers on each side to hang the matching mugs. And this was a bigger item, but it was very easy to ship. And it sold for $29.99 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have an antique Lady Eveline wooden cigar box. I love cigar boxes. The graphics on these cigar boxes are just beautiful. And this was a wooden cigar box, and it still had remnants of the tax stamp on it. It was just really a really beautiful piece, and it sold for $28.50 and the buyer paid shipping. The next item is a vintage Wolverine Supply Company refrigerator. This was in pretty rough condition. The lithograph inside was just really cool. I mean, look at that. I mean, the inside of it was pretty rusted, but look at the inside door of that refrigerator. Isn't that fun? And the little Wolverine I love metal toys. And it was made by Wolverine and Supply in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Oh, there's another picture of the graphic. Look at the eggs and the celery in the door of the refrigerator. I just get swept up in these graphics. But this sold for $25.50 and the buyer paid shipping. And like I said, this was in pretty rough condition. You can see there was a hole in the back. The metal was very, very thin, but people do like these just as either as a nostalgia piece or just something to use in their vintage decor in their home. And the next thing is this vintage Boston pencil sharpener. I picked this up from Goodwill and I believe I paid $1.99 for it. Actually, this was something Dad was with me and he saw it first and he picked it up and said, "You think this would do good?" And I have sold these before, so I know that they do pretty well. And this one sold for $26 and the buyer paid shipping. And what this little knob is down here, it had this little rubber bottom to it, and you flip the knob over. Let me see if I can find a different picture. You flip the knob over and it will suction cup or have like a vacuum mount to the pencil sharpener. I did test it. It did work. And so these Boston vintage pencil sharpeners is something to look out for because this sold very, very quickly for me for $26. Buyer paid shipping. Next, we have this really beautiful antique cast iron wall mount for an oil lamp sconce. This was pretty hard to get a picture of. I did the best that I could, but you can see here that it hangs on the wall. And let me see if I can find a better picture. Wow, is it not in there? All my pictures didn't get downloaded and it still sold. Well, they did come with a wall mount. I guess I can just zoom in on this picture and show you. This part right here was separate. I mean, it came with it, but it would come off. This is the part that you would mount on the wall, and then this little sconce would just kind of hangs in this part. This part alone is the harder part to find out of the two because you see these, but you don't all the time see the wall mount. So this one came with the wall mount, and you can see with brackets, and it sold within, I would say, a day or two of me listing it, even without all my pictures. That's quite odd, but for $29.50 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have Bubba on board. I am a sucker for these vintage, new in the package, whatever. This, and I remember this from the 90s. This was Bubba on board. You could stick him in your car. And let me see if I can get a zoom in on the graphic here. You can stick him in your car and he suction cups like, you know, like Baby on board, but he's Bubba on board. And I don't know why anybody would want this, but there you go. Somebody did. And maybe they had this when they were a child. It was just a nostalgic piece. He was still in the box. He was in excellent condition. He sold for $29.50 and the buyer paid shipping. I did get this from Goodwill. I paid $2.99 for it. So it was a fun find. This, I think, was probably my surprise sale of the week. It was something that I picked up for 99 cents at Goodwill. It was this Elgor, I'm probably saying that wrong. It's a 1 in 43 scale Freightliner Sprinter Michelin tires, Mark Kaizen, and then that's the serial number. And it was brand new in the box. It was never opened, and it sold for $45. $45. It amazed me. So this was, I guess it was just in a limited supply. It's a collector's piece. This did sell to a global shipping customer, so it did go overseas. So they paid a lot for shipping. I mean, I just have to pay to ship it to Kentucky, and then, you know, they do pay customs on that and everything, and it can be pretty expensive. But never was taken out of the box. So this was probably my funnest sale of the week, at least my most profitable sale of the week. And then we have some Air Max shoes, and I think that these were shown last week. I'm not sure what's going on eBay, but these sold for $60 and the buyer paid shipping. And next we have Pfeiffer's Famous Beer, this musky wall plaque. And it was very 1950s bar man cave, and it sold for $98.50 and the buyer paid shipping. And he was chalkware. So the chalkware is starting to become pretty popular again. I have noticed the chalkware pieces have been selling pretty well for me lately. And so it's something that I definitely will keep an eye out for in the future. Okay, so that was kind of a big hot mess. And I hope that it's not going to be too confusing. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully it's not going to be another glitch in the eBay
thing. So let me know if you're having the similar issues as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what my numbers were. Last week, I sold $831.60, and that is my gross sale. So that doesn't count for my taxes, my eBay fees, and my cost of goods. My sales were up 69%, so that's always a good thing because, like I said, they've been down for the past 2 weeks, so I'm glad that they did go up a little bit. And I did sell 26 items last week. And I only listed about 6 or 7 new items. I know, it's so bad. Try not to be like me. Make sure, I hope that you all are listing. And you're listing, and you're not getting distracted like I am. And but what I did do is I did go through and I ended about 25 or so of my listings, and I went ahead and hit sell similar and just updated them a little bit. And, you know, I've even moved words around in the title. The same words, I'm just moving them to a different spot. It just refreshes your listing. You can even go through and, you know, crop some of the pictures or move them around a little bit. Make sure, maybe try a different main photo in your listing, and, you know, work with those listings that you already have, especially if you don't have anything new to list. It's just one way that you can provide a little bit more activity in your store because, as you all know, eBay likes an active store. So we have to keep eBay happy and we have to stay active. So that is the things that I sold this week. I'm thinking I'm going to do a little bit of a challenge for myself because I have a couple lamps that I'm scared to death to list because, well, honestly, I'm scared to death to ship them. But I'm going to try to overcome my fear this week, and I'm going to try to get them listed and overcome my fear of shipping them. I don't know why I'm scared to ship them because I ship fragile and breakable things every single day. But for some reason, I'm just really nervous about those. So I'm going to try to get those listed this week, and we will see how they do. So I guess my challenge this week for you would be maybe list something that makes you, like, you've been kind of putting it off. You've seen it over there looking at you, and you keep thinking, I'm going to list you, but I'm not going to list you today. Well, make that day this week, or make that week this week, that you're going to list that thing that's making you a little nervous to list. So let's do that. That will be our challenge this week. Let's list the thing that's making us a little bit nervous to list, and we're going to list it, and we're going to be fine with it, and we're going to sell it, hopefully. So I guess that will be my video this week. I'm so sorry about if I've shown items twice. I did go back in, like I said, and check my numbers, and that my numbers are correct, but the pictures weren't showing up in my seller's hub. So I don't know what's going on with that. So we're just gonna carry on. We're not gonna worry about it. We're not going to let it get us down and hope that it will be repaired next week. So that is it, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help my channel. Let me know in the comments. Maybe let me know what is your thing that's staring at you that you've got to get listed and you've been putting it off. So let me know that. And make sure that you do come back every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will have my live vintage sale, and I sell about 70 things or so. And I got some pretty cool stuff I'm going to be showing this week. Tomorrow will be the preview for my sale, so you want to tune into that. So make sure that you're subscribed and hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I upload a new video, and I will see you later, guys. Bye.